The red warning lights flashed across the military command center in Seoul. Captain Do-hyun stared at the main screen, his coffee growing cold in his hands. Something was wrong with the communication systems. All the satellite feeds were showing the same thing, an unauthorized broadcast coming from somewhere on Earth. "Sir, we have a problem," Lieutenant Hae-won called from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, trying to trace the signal. "Someone is using our emergency broadcast network. The signal is strong, but I can't find where it's coming from." Do-hyun walked over to her desk. On the screen, strange symbols appeared and disappeared. Then suddenly the symbols changed into Korean text, then English, then Chinese. Whatever was sending this message could translate into human languages. "Can you cut the signal?" Do-hyun asked. "I've tried, sir, but it's using some kind of technology I don't understand. It's not just using our satellites, it's controlling them." The main screen flickered, and then a voice spoke. It was not human. The words were clear, but the voice sounded different, like someone speaking through water. "People of Earth, people of the galaxy. My name is Veltar of the Kethmori Empire. I am speaking to you from your world, hiding in one of your underground places. I am the last of my unit. All my brothers are dead." Do-hyun and Hae-won looked at each other. 3 months ago, alien ships had appeared in Earth's sky. The war had lasted only 2 weeks, but it felt like years. The aliens had come to conquer Earth, but something had gone wrong. Their ships had crashed or fled, and no one had heard from them since. 3 months ago, my people came to your world," the alien voice continued. "We came because our leaders told us you were weak. They said you were a young race, easy to defeat. They said we could take your world in days." In the command center, more officers gathered around the screens. General Park arrived, still wearing his coat from outside. "What is this?" he asked quietly. "An alien survivor, sir," Hae-won whispered back. "He's broadcasting to the whole planet." "We studied your world for many cycles," Veltar's voice went on. "We watched your wars, your weapons, your armies. We saw that you fought each other often. We thought this made you weak. We thought you would surrender quickly when faced with a stronger enemy." The alien paused. In the silence, Do-hyun could hear his own heartbeat. "We were wrong." On screens around the world, people stopped what they were doing to listen. In homes, offices, and military bases, humans heard the words of their former enemy. "My commanders classified your world as Level C, minimal threat. Standard occupation protocols. We had conquered 47 worlds before yours. Most surrendered after we destroyed a few cities. Some fought for a few days. The longest war we ever fought lasted 3 weeks. Veltar's voice became quieter, more careful. "Your war lasted 2 weeks. But it was not like the others. You did not fight like any species we had ever faced. You did not fight like soldiers. You fought like something else. Something we had no words for." In the command center, Do-hyun remembered those 2 weeks. He remembered the fear, the chaos, the impossible odds. The aliens had better weapons, better ships, better technology, but somehow humanity had won. "I was part of the advance force that landed in your peninsula," Veltar continued. "We expected your military to collapse quickly. Instead, we found soldiers who would not run, even when death was certain. We found people who turned everything into weapons, their cars, their buildings, even their own bodies." Lieutenant Hae-won shivered. She had been there in Busan when the aliens first landed. She had seen things that still gave her nightmares. "I watched one of your soldiers, a young male named Ki-jun. He was surrounded by 6 of my warriors. His weapon was empty. He had wounds that should have killed him. But he did not surrender. He did not run. He picked up rocks and threw them at us. Then he charged at us with a broken piece of metal." The alien's voice paused again. "He killed 2 of my warriors before we stopped him, with rocks and broken metal, against energy weapons and armor. This should not have been possible." General Park spoke quietly to Do-hyun. "Should we stop this broadcast?" Do-hyun shook his head. "Let him talk. The world needs to hear this." "We thought your species was like ours," Veltar said. "We thought you valued life above all else. We thought the threat of death would make you surrender, but you are not like us. You do not fear death the same way. You use it as a weapon." Around the world, humans listened in silence. Many remembered their own experiences during the invasion. The desperate fights, the impossible victories, the friends who had died to save others. "I saw a female named Boram lead 30 humans against 200 of my people. She knew it was suicide. Her people knew it was suicide. But they followed her anyway. They sang songs as they died. They smiled as they fought. Beltar's voice became strange, almost afraid. In all our wars, in all our conquests, we had never seen anything like this. Your people do not just fight to live. They fight to make sure their enemies do not live. Even when they know they cannot win, they fight to hurt us as much as possible. The broadcast continued and more people around the world stopped to listen. In China, Japan, America, Europe, everywhere humans lived, they heard the words of their enemy. I am broadcasting this message because my people need to know what they faced. The galaxy needs to know what you are. You are not the weak, primitive species we thought you were. You are something much more dangerous. Do-hyun looked at the screen, thinking about all the soldiers who had died in those 2 weeks. Ki-jun, Bo-ram, and thousands of others. They had saved the world, but the cost had been terrible. Tomorrow my people will debate whether to return to your world with a larger fleet. I am telling them not to come. I am telling them to leave you alone. Because if they come back, you will not just defend your world. The alien's voice became very quiet, almost a whisper. You will come for ours. The broadcast ended, leaving only silence in the command center. Do-hyun stared at the empty screen, thinking about the alien's words. Somewhere, hidden in the ruins of their war, an enemy soldier was warning his people about humanity. And maybe, Do-hyun thought, he was right to be afraid. Beltar's voice came through the speakers again, continuing his story. In the Seoul Command Center, Captain Do-hyun and his team listened as the alien survivor described the first day of the invasion. We came in the morning, Beltar said. 50 ships, each carrying 200 warriors. We had energy weapons, battle armor, and vehicles that could fly. Your military had bullets, metal tanks, and machines that could not even leave the ground. The alien paused, and Do-hyun could almost hear him thinking about that day. Our plan was simple. Destroy your command centers, capture your leaders, and wait for surrender. It had worked on every other world. We expected the war to end in hours. In the command center, Lieutenant Hae-won remembered that morning. She had been in Busan when the alien ships appeared in the sky like dark clouds. Everyone had been afraid. The ships looked so advanced, so powerful. The first human we killed was a soldier standing guard at your coastal base. Beltar continued. He saw our ship land and ran toward it, not away from it. He was alone, but he started shooting at us with his small weapon. The bullets could not hurt our armor, but he kept shooting until we killed him. Beltar's voice became confused. We thought he was crazy. Why attack something that could not be hurt? Why not run? We did not understand that he was buying time for others to prepare. Do-hyun nodded slowly. That was exactly what human soldiers were trained to do. Delay the enemy. Give others time to react, even if it meant certain death. More of your soldiers came. We killed them easily with our energy weapons, but they kept coming. And each group that came was better prepared than the last. They had heavier weapons, better positions, and they seemed to learn from watching their friends die. The alien's description brought back memories for everyone listening. The invasion had been chaos, but it had also been learning. Every battle taught humanity something new about their enemy. I was with the unit that attacked your port city of Busan. We expected to capture it in 1 hour. Instead, we found Sergeant Bo-ram and her soldiers. In the command center, General Park looked up. He had known Bo-ram personally. She had been one of their best non-commissioned officers. Bo-ram had 30 soldiers. We had 200. She could have retreated to the hills and waited for help. Instead, she chose to fight us in the city streets. Beltar's voice became respectful, almost admiring. Your sergeant was smart. She knew our weapons were powerful. But she also knew they worked best at long distances. So she made us fight close to her, in buildings and narrow streets where our advantages were smaller. Do-hyun remembered the reports from Busan. Bo-ram had turned the entire city into a weapon, using every building and every street to hurt the aliens. She put explosives in buildings and waited for us to enter them. She had snipers on rooftops who would shoot once and then disappear. She created traps using your civilian vehicles, filling them with explosives and leaving them where we would find them. The alien stopped talking for a moment. When he continued, his voice was different, almost afraid. But the worst part was not her tactics. The worst part was her soldiers. They followed her knowing they would die. They smiled when they fought. They sang songs when they set off explosives that killed themselves along with us. Lieutenant Hae-won had been there. She remembered the singing. Even now, 3 months later, she could hear those voices in her dreams. Private Ki-jun was Bo-ram's communications officer. When our warriors surrounded his position, he could have surrendered. Instead, He used his radio to call in an artillery strike on his own location. The alien's voice became very quiet. He looked at us and said something in your language. Later, I learned it meant, "See you in hell." Then the shells fell and killed him and 6 of my warriors. In military bases around the world, soldiers listened to these words and felt pride mixed with sadness. Kijun had become a symbol of human resistance, but the cost had been terrible. We had never seen anything like this, Veltar continued. In our wars, soldiers surrender when they cannot win. They try to stay alive. Your soldiers seem to think that taking enemies with them was more important than living. The alien was right, Do-hyun thought. Human soldiers had been trained to fight, but the invasion had taught them something else, that sometimes dying well was more important than living badly. Combat engineer Taemin was worse than the others. We cornered him in a building filled with explosives. He had no escape and no hope of survival, so he decided to take as many of us with him as possible. Veltar's voice shook slightly. He waited until 20 of my warriors entered the building. Then he activated all the explosives at once. The explosion was so big it damaged buildings 3 blocks away. We found pieces of him mixed with pieces of my people. The broadcast continued, and more humans around the world stopped to listen. They heard about their friends, their families, their heroes described by their enemy. By the end of the first day, we had taken your port, but the cost was terrible. We lost 60 warriors to kill 100 humans. Our commanders said this was acceptable, but I could see fear in my brother's eyes. Do-hyun understood that fear. The aliens had expected an easy victory, but humanity had made them pay for every meter of ground. On the second day, you began to adapt. Dr. Soo-jin, one of your scientists, had studied our crashed ships. She learned how our energy weapons worked and began making defenses against them. The alien paused, and Do-hyun could hear admiration in his voice. In one day, your species learned to counter technology it had never seen before. Soo-jin created shields using mirrors and reflective materials. Your soldiers could now survive our energy blasts long enough to get close to us. That had been the turning point, Do-hyun remembered. Once humans could survive the alien weapons, the fight became more equal. But adaptation was not enough for you. You also began to fight dirty. You used tactics that no honorable warrior would use. You pretended to surrender and then attacked us. You used your wounded soldiers as bait to draw us into traps. Veltar's voice became accusatory. You broke every rule of war that civilized species follow. You attacked medical units. You used hospitals and schools as military bases. You turned your children into soldiers. Do-hyun felt anger at those words. The aliens had come to conquer Earth. Humanity had done what it needed to do to survive. Young-ho was just a mechanic before the war, but when we invaded, he became something else. He took our weapons and vehicles and combined them with your technology in ways that should not have worked. The alien's voice became frustrated. He created hybrid weapons that were more dangerous than anything we had. He turned your primitive vehicles into machines that could destroy our advanced fighters. How does a mechanic learn to do this in just days? The answer was simple, Do-hyun thought. Humans learned quickly when their survival depended on it. By the end of the first week, we were no longer fighting primitive humans. We were fighting something that used our own technology better than we did, something that adapted faster than we could change our tactics. Veltar's voice became quiet again. My commanders began to talk about retreat. This had never happened before in the history of the Keth Mori Empire. We had never retreated from a primitive world. The aliens stopped talking, and silence filled the airwaves. Around the world, humans waited to hear what came next. But retreat was not enough for you, Veltar finally said. You had tasted our blood and you wanted more. The alien's voice returned, and Captain Do-hyun could hear something new in it, a kind of fear that went deeper than simple battle stress. The second week changed everything, Veltar said. We thought we understood your species after the first week. We were wrong. You were just getting started. In the Seoul Command Center, Lieutenant Haiwan pulled up files from that time. The second week had been when humanity stopped just defending and started attacking. Dr. Soo-jin had been working in a basement laboratory while the battle raged above her. She was not just studying our weapons, she was improving them. When she emerged, she brought blueprints for devices that made our technology look primitive. Veltar paused, and Do-hyun could imagine the alien struggling to explain what had happened. Your species has a gift that we do not understand. You take ideas and combine them in ways that should not work but do. Soo-jin took our energy weapons and combined them with your computer technology. The result was something neither species had ever seen before. Do-hyun remembered meeting Dr. Soo-jin after the war. She was a quiet woman who spoke softly, but her innovations had changed everything. She had taken alien plasma rifles and turned them into guided missiles that could think. But technology was not your only advantage. You began to fight in ways that broke our understanding of warfare. You did not follow any rules. You did not fight honorably. You fought to win, and nothing else mattered. The alien's voice became bitter. Cyber specialist Mi Kyung was supposed to be defending your computer networks. Instead, she attacked ours. She did not just break into our systems. She turned them into psychological weapons. Do-hyun smiled slightly. Mi Kyung had been brilliant. Instead of just disrupting alien communications, she had filled their networks with human music, human voices, and human images. She played your war songs through our communication systems. She showed us images of your dead soldiers, not to make us sad but to make us afraid. She wanted us to know that humans die smiling, and that we would never break your spirit by killing you. Beltar's voice shook. The worst thing she did was show us recordings of your children, not to make us feel sorry for them, but to show us that even your young ones were making weapons to fight us. She wanted us to know that every human, from the oldest to the youngest, was our enemy. That was true, Do-hyun thought. The invasion had united humanity in a way nothing else ever had. Everyone had contributed to the war effort, even children. Teacher Dong-wook should have been protecting children in his school. Instead, he turned his classroom into a weapons factory. He taught students to build explosives using materials from their chemistry sets. He taught them to make traps using our own technology. The alien's voice became horrified. Children who should have been learning mathematics were learning to kill alien soldiers. Students who should have been reading books were reading manuals on guerrilla warfare. You turned your schools into military academies. Do-hyun understood the alien's shock. Most species probably protected their young during wars. Humans had armed theirs. But the children were not just making weapons. They were improving them. A 12-year-old girl named Ye-jin created an explosive device that could disable our vehicles by targeting their energy cores. A device our own engineers said was impossible. Beltar paused, and when he continued, his voice was full of disbelief. Your children were outthinking our best military scientists. How does a 12-year-old understand technology better than warriors who have fought for decades? The answer was simple, Do-hyun thought. Human children learned without preconceptions. They saw possibilities that adults missed. Mechanic Young-ho became even more dangerous during the second week. He was no longer just adapting our technology. He was creating hybrid machines that were better than anything either species had built alone. The alien's description brought back memories of Young-ho's workshop. The man had worked without sleep for days, combining human engines with alien power systems. He took your helicopters and gave them our energy shields. He took our vehicles and gave them your weapon systems. The result was a new type of war machine that could outfly our fighters and outgun your tanks. Do-hyun nodded. Young-ho's hybrid vehicles had been the key to several human victories. They had given humanity air superiority for the first time since the invasion began. But Young-ho did not stop there. He began teaching other mechanics his techniques. Soon, humans everywhere were building hybrid machines. You were mass-producing weapons that combined the best of both our technologies. Beltar's voice became frustrated. We could not understand how you learned so quickly. Our engineers needed years to master new technology. Your people learned in days, sometimes hours. It was as if your minds were designed for adaptation. That might be true, Do-hyun thought. Humans had always been good at learning new things quickly. The invasion had just pushed that ability to its limits. The worst part was that you did not just copy our technology, you improved it. Private Jae-hoon took one of our plasma rifles and modified it to fire twice as fast with half the energy. Corporal Min-ho turned our energy shields into weapons by overloading them and using them as bombs. The alien stopped talking for a long moment. When he continued, his voice was quiet and afraid. By the middle of the second week, you were not fighting with human weapons or alien weapons. You were fighting with something new. Human-alien hybrid technology that was more advanced than anything either species had created alone. Do-hyun remembered that feeling of sudden technological superiority. For a few days, humanity had possessed weapons that were beyond anything they had imagined possible. But technology was not your only evolution. You also changed your tactics. Commander Jinwoo began using strategies that violated every principle of military science. Beltar's voice became respectful, despite his fear. Jinwoo understood that conventional warfare favored us because of our superior numbers and equipment. So he created unconventional warfare that used our strengths against us. Do-hyun had studied Jinwoo's tactics. The commander had been brilliant at turning alien advantages into disadvantages. He used our superior communications against us by feeding us false information. He used our advanced sensors against us by creating fake targets that drew our forces into traps. He used our mobility against us by predicting where we would go and preparing ambushes. The alien paused again. But the most disturbing thing was how quickly other human commanders learned his methods. Within days, human forces everywhere were using his tactics. You shared knowledge faster than we could adapt to it. That was another human advantage, Do-hyun realized. Humans were good at teaching each other. When one person learned something useful, others learned it quickly. By the end of the second week, we were no longer fighting the same species that had resisted us in the first week. You had evolved. You had become something more dangerous than what we had invaded. Veltar's voice became very quiet. And then you began to hunt us. The alien's words sent a chill through the command center. Do-hyun remembered when humanity had stopped defending and started attacking alien positions. You stopped trying to protect your cities and started trying to capture our ships. You stopped trying to survive our attacks and started trying to eliminate our forces completely. You went from prey to predator in just 2 weeks. The broadcast paused, and Do-hyun could hear the alien breathing heavily. That was when my commanders first began to talk about the word that no Kethmori warrior had ever spoken. About a primitive species. Veltar's voice became a whisper. Retreat. Veltar's voice came through the speakers with a new intensity. Captain Do-hyun could hear the alien's breathing was faster now, as if remembering these events still frightened him. The final battle was not supposed to be final, Veltar said. We thought we had cornered the last major human resistance in the ruins of your capital city. Our scouts reported that Commander Jinwoo had maybe 3,000 soldiers left. We brought 15,000 warriors to finish them. In the Seoul Command Center, General Park leaned forward. He had been there for that battle. He knew what was coming. Jinwoo's force was trapped in the destroyed buildings of central Seoul. They had no vehicles, limited ammunition, and no way to escape. Our commanders were confident that this would be the end of human resistance. Lieutenant Haewon pulled up the battle reports from that day. Even now, 3 months later, the numbers seemed impossible. What we did not know was that Jinwoo was not planning to make a last stand. He was planning something that no Kethmori commander had ever imagined. He was planning to turn defeat into victory. Veltar paused, and Do-hyun could almost hear the alien shaking his head in disbelief. While we surrounded his position, Jinwoo was communicating with human forces all over your planet. Forces we thought had been destroyed weeks ago. Forces that had been hiding, waiting for the right moment to strike. The alien's voice became amazed. Your species had been preparing for this moment since the first day of the invasion. Every battle, every defeat, every retreat had been part of a larger plan. You had been learning about us, studying us, and preparing to destroy us completely. Do-hyun remembered the coordination required for that final assault. It had taken weeks of secret planning and incredible discipline to keep the plan hidden from alien sensors. Pilot Soo-young had been a helicopter pilot before the war. She had never flown anything more advanced than your primitive aircraft. But during the invasion, she had been studying captured alien fighters, learning how they worked. Veltar's voice became respectful. In 2 weeks, she learned to fly our most advanced ships better than pilots who had trained for years. She took a squadron of captured alien fighters and led them against our main fleet. Do-hyun smiled slightly. Soo-young had become a legend among human pilots. She had proven that human adaptability could overcome any technological advantage. But Soo-young did not just fly our ships. She improved them. She modified their weapon systems using human technology. She changed their flight patterns using human tactics. She turned our own fighters against us. The alien stopped talking for a moment, and when he continued, his voice was full of admiration and fear. She led 12 human pilots and captured alien ships against our fleet of 200 vessels. She should have been destroyed in minutes. Instead, she destroyed 40 of our ships and crippled 60 more. Lieutenant Haewon had been monitoring the communications during that battle. She remembered the shock in the alien voices as their own ships turned against them. How did she do this? Veltar asked, his voice confused. How did a primitive pilot defeat our best commanders? How did 12 captured ships defeat a fleet? The answer was simple, Do-hyun thought. Soo-young had done something the aliens never expected. She had treated their ships as weapons to be sacrificed, not treasures to be preserved. While Su Yung attacked our fleet from above, Jin Wu launched his assault from the ground. But it was not the kind of assault any reasonable commander would plan. It was suicide. Veltar's voice became horrified. Jin Wu's soldiers came out of the ruins not to capture our positions, but to die fighting. They strapped explosives to their bodies and charged our lines. They drove vehicles filled with bombs into our formations. They turned themselves into weapons. The alien was describing human berserker tactics, the decision to fight without regard for survival, to cause maximum damage regardless of cost. We had never faced an enemy that used suicide as a primary tactic. Our warriors are trained to fight and survive. Your warriors seem trained to fight and die in the most destructive way possible. Du Hyun understood the alien's confusion. Most species probably valued individual survival. Humans had learned to value victory more than life. Explosives expert Hyun-Soo was the worst of them. He had captured one of our heavy transport ships and filled it with every explosive device your species had invented. Then he piloted it directly at our command vessel. Veltar's voice shook. Our gunners destroyed his ship 3 times, but he kept it flying through pure determination. When it finally crashed into our flagship, the explosion was visible from orbit. He killed himself and 2,000 of my people in a single attack. The alien paused, breathing heavily. But the most terrifying thing was not that he did this. The most terrifying thing was that 50 other humans did the same thing at the same time. 50 suicide attacks, all coordinated, all designed to cause maximum damage to our forces. Du Hyun remembered watching those attacks on satellite feeds. It had been beautiful and terrible at the same time. Humans turning themselves into guided missiles. In 1 hour, you destroyed half our fleet and most of our ground forces. Not through superior technology or better tactics, but through sheer willingness to die fighting. You weaponized your own mortality. Veltar's voice became very quiet. No Kethemori warrior could understand a strategy based on intentional death. We fight to live and conquer. You fight to die and destroy. How do you defeat an enemy that considers death a weapon? The alien was silent for a long moment before continuing. After the battle, my surviving commanders held an emergency meeting. For the first time in Kethemori history, we voted to retreat from a primitive world. Not because we could not win, but because the cost of winning was too high. Du Hyun felt pride at those words. Humanity had made the aliens afraid to fight them. But retreat was not fast enough for you. As our ships tried to leave your atmosphere, you launched captured alien fighters to attack us. Pilots who had learned to fly in just 2 weeks were shooting down ships flown by veterans with decades of experience. Veltar's voice became amazed. You did not just want us to leave. You wanted to destroy us completely. You wanted to make sure we could never return. You wanted to send a message to our empire. The alien paused again. Lieutenant Wu Jin was flying a fighter that had been damaged in 3 different battles. His ship was barely able to fly, but he used it to ram one of our evacuation transports. He killed himself and 800 of my people who were trying to escape. Do Hyun remembered Wu Jin. The young pilot had volunteered for what everyone knew was a suicide mission. Even in retreat, you hunted us. Even when we were defeated, you wanted to kill more of us. You did not fight like soldiers. You fought like predators who had tasted blood and wanted more. Veltar's voice became very quiet. Of the 12,000 warriors who landed on your world, fewer than 300 escaped. Most died in the final battle, killed by humans who chose to die with them. Your species did not just defeat us, you nearly destroyed us completely. The alien stopped talking and silence filled the airwaves. Around the world, humans listened and felt pride in their species' victory. That is when the Kethemori Empire made its decision. Veltar finally said, "We officially classified your species as Class X. Total avoidance recommended. No Kethemori force will ever attack your world again." The alien's voice became a whisper. "But I fear we have made a terrible mistake. We came to your world to conquer you. Instead, we taught you that you are not alone in the universe. We taught you that there are other worlds to conquer." Du Hyun felt a chill at those words. "And now you are building ships to come find us." Veltar's voice came through the speakers one final time, and Captain Do Hyun could hear a finality in it. The tone of someone delivering a last warning. "I am ending this broadcast soon," the alien said. "But first I must tell the galaxy what your species truly is. I must warn them about what is coming." In the Seoul Command Center, Admiral Yoon-ji had arrived. She stood beside General Park, listening to the alien's words with a slight smile on her face. "The Kethemori Empire has ruled this sector of the galaxy for 3,000 years. We have conquered over 400 worlds. We thought we understood warfare. We thought we understood what it meant to be a warrior species. Veltar paused and his voice became almost philosophical. We were wrong. You are not a warrior species. You are something much more dangerous. You are a species that evolves through conflict. Lieutenant Haywan looked up from her console. That was an interesting way to describe humanity. Other species fight wars to achieve goals, territory, resources, revenge. You fight wars to become stronger. Every battle teaches you something new. Every defeat makes you more dangerous. Every victory prepares you for a bigger war. The alien's observation was accurate, Do-hyun thought. Humans had learned more about warfare in 2 weeks than most species learned in decades. Dr. Chang-min has been studying our technology since the invasion ended. He is not just learning how our ships work. He is designing new ships that combine our technology with yours. Ships that will be more advanced than anything the galaxy has ever seen. Do-hyun knew about Chang-min's project. The scientist was building humanity's first interstellar fleet using a combination of human and alien technology. In just 3 months, you have gone from a planet-bound species to one that can travel between stars. You have learned in 3 months what took us 3 centuries to discover. Veltar's voice became urgent. But the ships are not the most dangerous thing you are building. The most dangerous thing is your new military doctrine. You are teaching your soldiers to fight not just against alien invaders, but against alien worlds. The alien was right, Do-hyun realized. Humanity was no longer just thinking about defense. They were thinking about offense. Admiral Yoon-ji has been promoted to head your new space command. She is not planning to defend Earth from future invasions. She is planning to invade other worlds before they can attack yours. In the command center, Admiral Yoon-ji nodded slightly. That was exactly what she was planning. Your species has learned that the best defense is to attack first. You are preparing to strike at alien worlds before they can threaten Earth. You are becoming the invaders. Veltar's voice became afraid. This is what terrifies me most about your species. You do not just adapt to new situations. You transform them completely. We came to conquer you, and now you are preparing to conquer us. The alien was silent for a moment before continuing. I have studied your history during my time hiding on your world. I have learned about your past wars, your conflicts, your victories and defeats. I understand now why you fought us so effectively. Veltar's voice became amazed. You have been fighting wars for thousands of years. You have fought each other with every weapon imaginable. You have conquered continents, built empires, and destroyed civilizations. War is not something you do, war is what you are. Do-hyun felt a strange pride at those words. Humanity's violent history had prepared them for this moment. Other species fight wars when they must. You fight wars because you can. You have turned conflict into an art form. You have made destruction into a science. The alien paused again. The galaxy has never faced a species like yours. We have fought warrior races before. Species that are strong, aggressive, and militaristic. But you are not just warriors. You are something new. Veltar's voice became very quiet. You are a species that gets stronger through violence. You are predators who hunt other predators. You are conquerors who learn from being conquered. The alien's words sent chills through the command center. Was that really what humanity was? I am broadcasting this warning because the galaxy must understand what is coming. In 1 year, maybe 2, your ships will reach our worlds. When they do, you will not come as explorers or traders. Veltar's voice became certain. You will come as conquerors, and we will not be able to stop you. The alien paused for the last time. The Kethmori Empire spent 3,000 years building our military. We have weapons that can destroy planets. We have fleets that can blockade entire star systems. We have armies that have never known defeat. Veltar's voice became a whisper. It will not be enough. Admiral Yoon-ji smiled at those words. The alien was probably right. You will take our weapons and make them better. You will take our tactics and improve them. You will take our technology and transform it into something we cannot defend against. The alien's voice became resigned. Within a generation, maybe less, you will rule this sector of the galaxy. Within a century, you will rule the entire galaxy. Not because you are stronger than us, but because you are better at becoming stronger. Do-hyun felt a mixture of pride and concern. Was this really humanity's destiny? I am ending this broadcast now, Veltar said. I have told the galaxy what they face. Whether they listen is not my responsibility anymore. The alien paused one last time. To the humans listening to this, you have won more than just a war. You have won your place among the stars. Use that victory wisely. The broadcast ended, leaving silence in the command center. Outside, the first ships of humanity's new interstellar fleet were preparing for launch. Captain Do-hyun looked at Admiral Yoonji. Is he right? Are we really going to conquer the galaxy? The Admiral looked at the launch preparations visible through the window. I don't know about conquering the galaxy, she said quietly, but we're certainly going to explore it. And if anyone tries to stop us, she didn't finish the sentence, but Do-hyun understood.
Humanity had learned that they were not alone in the universe.
They had also learned that they were very good at warfare. Lieutenant Haewon spoke up from her console. Sir, we've traced the alien signal. He's broadcasting from a bunker about 50 kilometers north of the city. Admiral Yoonji nodded. Send a team to pick him up. Offer him asylum if he wants it. He's earned that much, Do-hyun agreed. Veltar had given humanity something valuable, an understanding of how other species saw them. Whether that was a gift or a warning remained to be seen. Outside the window, the first human starship fired its engines and began to climb toward the stars. Veltar had been right about one thing. Humanity was no longer just defending Earth. They were going hunting. As the ship disappeared into the black sky, Do-hyun wondered what the galaxy would look like in 10 years. If Veltar was correct, it would look very different indeed. Humanity had learned that they were good at war. Now they were about to teach the galaxy the same lesson. The age of human expansion was beginning, and the stars themselves would never be the same.